So, since cobots are, designed to be safe for humans to work alongside, I mean, that's their whole purpose and intent of these types of robots. Are
Mm-hmm.
risk assessments of a cobot installation needed before work begins?
Yeah, so referring back to ISO TS 15066, which I just mentioned, it clearly calls out in black and white that a risk assessment is necessary to identify the hazards and risk associated with a collaborative robot system application. You'll read that the integrator shall conduct a risk assessment as described by ISO 10218 and ANSI RA 1506. So yes, a risk assessment is absolutely needed for a collaborative robot application.
It has the word shall there.
Shall. Yeah.
Shall
Yep.
means will, should, and
Must.
all
Yeah,
of
we
the
must
above.
do
Yeah.
it. All the above.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, based on your experience, what are some hazards that are common or often overlooked when it comes to users implementing cobot applications?
Yeah. The risk assessment I just mentioned is commonly
Mm.
overlooked for sure.
Oh, okay.
I would say typical application hazards: impact, crushing, trapping, projectiles. And I say these typical hazards because they are often overlooked once the term collaborative robot is used. I mentioned earlier about smooth edges, minimizing the pinch points, slow speeds, and low payload capabilities. And sometimes that's taken as this is a safe piece of equipment and all is good. So those typical common hazards are missed, but this is why a risk assessment is required. So we got to look at the loads, the materials, the robot torque. One of the biggest overlooked hazards I've probably seen is the actual cobot location. So you have to look at, are you creating a crushing or a trapping hazard with the cobot in a fixed surface, or is that cobot positioned high enough where it can come into contact with an operator head, which
Mhm.
is not allowed at all.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
I would say the risk assessment, those basic ISO 12100 hazards, and the position of the cobot are commonly overlooked.
Okay. And you mentioned too, there just a side question off of this is you mentioned that the risk assessments are often overlooked with
Hmm.
cobots. Is that something that's particular to cobots based on what you've seen, or is this something that's often kind of overlooked for other industrial machinery as well?
Yeah, so I would say it's often overlooked, but more so with the cobot, just because of that misconception that it's inherently safe, so we're good to go. So risk assessments, in my experience, are typically overlooked, but I'm seeing it more so with cobots nowadays.